I caught my partner cheating on me for the second time. So I cheated back, and I don't regret it one bit. I, a 27-year-old girl, had just returned home after flying 400 miles to see relatives. It was my birthday, and my partner, M27, had his 2 days before. I bought him a vinyl CD by one of his favorite bands, which I knew he didn't have. I handed him my present when I came home. He didn't get anything for me, but it's whatever. I'll take the fact that the home was clean as a bonus. I've settled down after 2 hours and decided to take a tab of acid, because, as the song says, it's my birthday and I'll trip if I want to. He eventually went to bed early, leaving me alone. I ended up dumping my phone in the toilet in the midst of a phone conversation, so I took his phone to call my buddy back. He has a different phone than I do, and I'm not used to the controls, so as I was searching for the phone app, I saw he had the Kik app, and my own experience has shown that nothing positive ever occurs on Kik. When I open it, I notice multiple discussions in which he and other guys email each other films. This is the second time I've caught him doing something like this. He stated he removed the program the first time since he should have known better and vowed he wouldn't do it again. I was foolish enough to trust him. I ended up weeping myself to the point of dehydration, and it didn't help that I drank approximately 3/4 of a handle of flavored vodka in my upset condition. I returned home the following day, with a hangover the size of Greenland. I couldn't stand it any longer. After 5 years together now seemed like a waste. I told an old buddy I'd known for years. He welcomed me to his home and prepared breakfast for me. That was the first time someone had cooked for me in over a year. Eating those rice balls made me feel like Chiro from Spirited Away. We smoked a lot of pot after breakfast, and I laughed for the first time in 2 days. Having saying that, there was still a lot of sobbing. My buddy inquired whether I was going to call it quits, and I told him I wasn't sure at this time. I'm not the kind to simply terminate things because I'm angry. But we continued chatting, and the more we spoke, the more I realized how terrible my partner's conduct toward me was, and after a time I simply grew used to accepting it. The fact that he was a jerk and continually complained that I was never intimate with him while he never made an attempt to make me feel good about myself, much alone take me on an excursion that I didn't have to organize. And well, I suppose the icing on the was discovering his infidelity on my birthday after he couldn't be bothered to do anything pleasant for me. So a crying session became a make-out session, which became a nude hug session. And after 2.5 days of looking and feeling like a half-dead possum, it felt fantastic to be alive again, to be needed, cherished, and attractive for the first time in a long time. I understand that 2 wrongs do not equal a right. I realize now that I'm just as awful as my spouse. But I don't feel bad about it. On Monday night, I'll return to my friend's place to repay the favor by cooking for him, and I'm looking forward to it. Story 2. I, 21 male, found out my wife, 19 female, has been cheating on me. I've been married to my wife Anne, not her true name, for about a year. She came to me last month and confessed to me that she had been cheating on me. She said she hadn't slept with anybody, but she had kissed a Snapchat acquaintance named Kevin, not his actual name, at a park one night. She had also been photographing her privates and sending them to him, as well as getting similar photographs from him. When I question her, I discover that she has been doing the same thing with others she meets on sleazy websites and Discord servers. I was so upset at first that all I could do was weep. I sincerely wanted to work things out with her because I didn't want my marriage to end this way. I felt we could get past this since she looked remorseful for her behavior. However, the urge to sort things out soon vanished during the following week. I informed her that even if we worked things out, it would be a while before I could trust her again, and that in the meanwhile, I'd want to put a tracking program as well as a keylogger on her phone. I then loaded the same apps on my phone and told her she could check them anytime she wanted. She was displeased, but she complied. The biggest argument arose from the following 2 things I requested her to accomplish. I informed her that I want for us to begin utilizing birth control. We hadn't, but I didn't want to drag a child into this situation. She immediately began talking about how she didn't want to use birth control because you can become pregnant while using it, and she is concerned that if that happens, the kid would be harmed. This was nothing new. She had told me this before we even got married. She began bombarding my phone with links to all of these articles and YouTube videos and so on. When I proposed using condoms, she began to worry about what if she had an adverse response to them and so on. The second thing I advised her to do was to obtain a job, return to school, she dropped out of high school, or at the absolute least volunteer someplace, but no more lazing in bed on her phone all day. She said that she would look into volunteering at the site where she learned to ride horses as a child. That's fantastic. After a few days, she still hasn't begun helping there. Finally, I ask her why. Her rationale is that the van's petrol tank isn't full, and she doesn't want to stop at a gas station alone herself on the way to the horse farm to fill it up, since gas stations are. I'm sick of it at this point. A week has passed, and I still feel like nothing has changed, and I'm still creating excuses not to do things like I usually do. I go to bed afraid every night, wake up miserable every morning, can't eat, can't sleep, can't get any work done at my job, and I just don't know what to do. After careful thinking and guidance from my father, I go to her and tell her that I believe we need to separate for a short while, to give me time to recover and for her to focus on getting to a better place in life. She doesn't take it well, bursts into tears, becomes enraged with me, but ultimately accepts. I tell her that she can remain and I'll go, or she can leave and I'll stay, and she says she'll leave because she doesn't believe she can pay the rent. I hand her the vehicle and $250 cash from our $500 savings and send her on her way. She collects some of her belongings and departs. I see her at church and meet her for lunch and a stroll in the park a few times a year to speak and sort things out. We see our counselor and speak with her. I had hoped that the separation would serve as a wake-up call for her to get her life in order, but that did not happen. Instead, every time we get together, church, lunch, a stroll in the park, etc., a quarrel arises. First, she informs me that she is changing and that I am not giving her a chance. When I said that it had been a week and that I hadn't seen any changes, she remarked that I wouldn't be able to observe any if I wasn't near her, which I wouldn't be now that we were separated. I told her that we could discuss when she had something to show me that she had done. Each time I see her, the discussions get more heated, finally reaching a point where they are poisonous. She accuses both my father and my closest friend Murray of attempting to get me to divorce her. She sends them threatening messages and tells me that I should seek advice from more qualified individuals. She then accuses me of being a drug addict. I vape, but I do not take drugs, implying that I should go to treatment. She accuses me of having females over behind her back, which there is no proof of, and which I do not do, of never loving her, and of not knowing God. The last straw came when I was looking through some of her social media profiles, attempting to find out how deep she had fallen down the rabbit hole of cyber. When we discussed her adultery, she said it had been going on for a few months. Imagine my shock when I discovered that it had been going on for at least 7 months, according to what I could locate, which implies that she was faithful for no more than 4 months of our marriage. I informed her that I want a divorce. She refused, threatened self-harm, and launched into a loud rant in the middle of the park. I explained, trying to remain calm, that I would get one whether she wanted one or not, and that if she cooperated, it wouldn't have to drag on for months and months. She would get some of our collective marital wealth instead of it all, going to pay lawyer fees, and an uncontested divorce would not require evidence of infidelity, saving her all that embarrassment. She agreed, completed the papers, and said that she would work with me on it. I genuinely don't want to rekindle our relationship. Not only have I been able to recover a bit since we split up, but it also seems like a great load has been lifted. I now have much more money and energy, the home is no longer in such disarray, and the overall clutter has vanished. Having said that, our church and a few of our relatives and friends are attempting to persuade me to reconcile with her and avoid the divorce. I honestly don't believe that's appropriate, since it's clear to me that the relationship isn't healthy and nothing is going to fix that. I adore Anne, and I did make a commitment to her when I married her, but not in this way. Not when I can't trust her, and I'm always wondering what she's been up to and where she's gone. I can't go through another year like this. But at the same time, I suppose a part of me isn't sure since I haven't filed the divorce papers yet. What I want to know is, am I on the right track here? Is my desire for a divorce legitimate, or am I not giving Anne enough time or a second opportunity when she deserves it? I realize this is potentially a contentious matter, depending on one's beliefs on marriage/divorce, but I'm curious what others think.